This time I'm going to take you through the steps of weathering some of my gravel hopper wagons. As you can see, this is what I currently have them looking as. They're not dirty at all. The load doesn't look quite right. So I've got a couple of the different types. These are the older wagons with the old coupling system. Uh, the green Rheinkies wagons, the brown Vayacher Kies, and then I have a blue Donau Kies wagon as well, which I need to make a bit more realistic looking, and I'm going to show you what I did to get to that. Now these green wagons are actually painted, so you can remove the paint. I did that with a little bit of thinner and scratching away the paint to produce a more battered look, if you will. Also cleaning the inside and weathering the inside of them, because I will leave a couple of them empty just for a bit of difference. I don't want them all to be full. So one of the techniques I use is I've mixed up my own paint to replicate a dark rust color, and then I'm going to dab that on in a sort of dry brushing sort of effect with a little bit of sponge, and that will replicate, I hope, the chipping effect. And as you can see here, I think it looks very good. It makes it look a bit battered and worn, as if the wagons have seen some heavy service. You can apply it in any depth, if you will, from a light sort of sponging to quite heavy to replicate a very worn look. One of the benefits, I think, doing it with this method is it actually leaves a little bit of a surface on the wagon, and that to me replicates quite nicely the raised rusting worn effect that you sometimes see on these wagons. Uh, have I overdone it a little bit on some of them? Probably, but I like the look. So it's at the end of the day, it's what you want to achieve and what you're happy with. So here you can see the green one, Rheinkies wagon done, and then the inside scraped away a little bit. Just done very carefully all around. The reason I chose these wagons is they are older wagons, and if I'd made a mistake with damaging some of the original paintwork, I wasn't going to be too worried about it. But as you can see at the end of the video, I think you'll see it's turned out quite nicely. Once that was done, it's a case then of applying a very thin dust wash. I'm using the Humbrol range for this. To me, that replicates the sort of dusty conditions that these would have been or seen service when they were getting loaded up. And you make it nice and thin, and then it runs nicely into all the nooks and crannies, and you get a very good look from that. It's just a case of being careful and meticulous. And I think the sort of the dusty white powdery look contrasts nicely with the colour of the wagons. I couldn't show the actual application. I tried filming it, but I couldn't hold the camera, hold the wagon, and apply the washes all at the same time. Not very good at multitasking. As you can see, I also applied it on the inside because I'm going to keep some of the wagons unloaded. And now the next step is apply a thin rust wash to all the bogies and to some of the metalwork on the wagons. Just again, a very thin coat needs to be applied. It looks a bit shiny at the moment, but it will be dulled down at the end with a matte coat, just to take away the shine. Again, just apply it very carefully, and as you can see, it goes into all the nooks and crannies. And that's what I was talking about earlier on. Using the paint, you can, I hope, see the raised effect it gives. Simulates rust working on the steel. Obviously, this is all very close up. Once you have these N-gauge wagons on the layout, looking at it from not so close, you know, the effect is very good. So that's just again the inside of the wagon. I know there's still some paint, the blue paint in this example, still shown on the inside, which probably in real life would have been worn away with all the gravel being loaded in and unloaded. But I left a little bit of the color in the inside because, again, I just thought it looked, it looked good. And another detailing that I did next was all the handrails on these wagons. They just come in black. I had a look on the internet, some pictures, and I'm going to paint them sort of a yellowy color. Not a bright yellow. I've just, this is a yellow I had in my modeling box. It's a bit duller, gives a bit more of a worn look, and just applied it in a patchy sort of effect, just to again simulate wear and tear, and just makes it stand out a little bit and adds a little bit of interest to the models. And just did it all the way around. It's just a little bit difficult to do. A very small brush. But just take your time. And the next step, I've got some of this rail match frame dirt. Just going to apply that with my airbrush. Very light coat, all on the underneath of the wagons. You know, I don't want to obliterate any of the effects that I've done, but it just tones it down, everything down a little bit. Gives it that worn, matte type look, and I'm very pleased with how that's come out. They all look suitably battered. I've tried to make all the wagons a little bit different, some not so worn as others. And the next step was the loads. And what I'm using here to pack them is this floral dry oasis. Just cut it to shape and pack it inside. Reduces the amount of actual gravel that you have to use. Keeps the wagons a little bit lighter. This is the color I wanted to go with. You'll see the end result. I actually changed my mind later on. This is a dark balsalt, not basalt, gravel. Not quite sure what it's meant to represent, but I thought it looked quite nice until I applied it and then glued it in, and it turned out very, very dark. Looked almost like coal, which I didn't really want to do, so I then decided I'm going to use a lighter gravel color, as you can see, and then applied that to all the wagons. And that's more of the look I wanted to have, sort of a mixed gravel sort of color. Not sure what it's actually supposed to be, but again, that was my what I wanted. I quite like the contrast with the light and the dark colors. I think it makes it stand out. Just again showing the different wagons and all the weathering effects. And here's one of the Rheinkeist ones, one of the more worn wagons. I think in this picture you can see the sponge effect that I used on the side to recreate scratches and chips and blemishes. Again, is it overdone? In my mind, no, I quite like it. And I know some people might think that's a bit too heavily weathered, but each to their own, whatever makes you happy. It's just sort of a worn look that I quite like. And here we have them finished. I didn't show the spraying the matte varnish on them to take away all of the shine. And here's a little running session, double header, pulling these wagons. Again, for old wagons, they actually run very smoothly. Quite nice. I do have some of these type of wagons with the newer couplings. Must admit I'm a little bit more scared to start the weathering on those, but I think I actually will do it at some point. I have a set of 3 which are actually red in colour. I think the weathering, the dust washers, etc. on those will make a very nice contrast with the green and the brown of the wagon that I have here. So that's something that I will do in the future. I have actually cleaned my track, as I said I would in previous videos. So everything seems to be running nice and smoothly again. The second engine in this that you're seeing isn't actually powered, it's a dummy wagon. It's actually one of my oldest wagons that I bought back in the 80s. Couple of little issues with the engine on it. I was actually took it apart and I was going to try and make it DCC, but at the end of the day I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to take the engine out, let it run as a dummy wagon. It was all nicely weathered, the paintwork dulled down, and yeah, it's a good effect. Just some nice little close-ups here, running into the tunnel, and then we'll see it very shortly coming on the main line, and we can have a closer look at the wagons when it comes to a halt. Nice steady slow speed. Yeah, all good. You can see at the end I left 2 of the wagons unloaded just to make it a bit more different, because wagons had to be run unloaded at some point. Obviously once they've finished delivering their cargo, they would have had to go back to the depot or the gravel yard or wherever they got loaded to fill up again. Here we go, just going down this small rake and just having a look. You can see the effects, and overall very pleased with how this has turned out. As I said, these are older wagons, so if it hadn't worked out, it wouldn't have been, you know, an unmitigated disaster. But yeah, it's just a case of just going for it. Yeah, I don't think at the end of the day you can really do anything wrong when it comes to weathering. It's just a case of, you know, how heavily you want it to look. And I'm just going to pull away again in a second. That is it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. We'll just watch this disappear through the tunnel at the end of the layout, and that's it for now. Keep watching. Hopefully I'll be, well, I actually am on another couple of projects, weathering projects. Uh, my containers, 20 and 40-foot container wagons, I'm currently in the process of weathering. So I will have a little video of that coming out shortly. And some other sliding wall wagons, which, you know, while I was doing this recording, I've actually tacked on a little preview of it at the end, so you can see what what I've been up to with that. We'll see that just coming up just now. And there we go. These little sliding roof wagons. You know, as they come, you know, obviously very plastic looking, completely unrealistic. Again, these are quite old, but the detail's very good. But just, you know, not right, as I say. And here's one I prepared earlier, and this is what they will look like. I think I've got four of these wagons, so I'll be uh, doing the rest of them. I just did this one as a little test to see how it would come out, and I'm quite pleased with that. So I'll crack on and get the other ones done. Now these obviously painted in the yellow and green Minitrix colors. I do have some of these exact wagons, you know, in the more prototypical brown color. But again, they do look very plasticky, so I will work on those as well, and, you know, apply some light dirt washes on them, some rust scratches, etc., some frame dirt, and just make them look a bit more battered. Okay.